We're back!
Hello.
Guys, welcome to 90 Day the Melanated Way with your host, April, and myself, Linda. You probably missed us last week, and that was because we were celebrating Mama Linda's birthday all week long. And so we're back, and we're back to go through Season 2, Episode 3 of 90 Day, The Last Resort. And April, I have to tell you that this has been my favorite episode so far. Vegas.
Yes.
Vegas. Take me to Vegas right now.
This episode has the most action so far. I'm excited to talk about it. Hey, Joslo.
Hi, Joslo. So, Season 2, Episode 3, Save the Last Dance. Everyone's fighting, okay? None of the couples... And I'm excluding Stacy and Florian because I really feel like they're just along for the ride, really. I mean, they have a few problems that, he goes out too much and, she has some trust issues from cheating in the past, but he's young, right? He's still working all that stuff out, and I'm not making excuses, but with all of the couples, they're my least concern. Hey, Christina. Hey, girl. Hey.
Yeah, same. I'm not as concerned about them as some of the other people. Also, I still love Florian. Like, he could do no wrong to me at this moment. I'm just really into his personality.
Me too.
feel like I finally get his personality.
Me too, 100%. And he comes up with the greatest one-liners. I don't know if you guys have paid attention, but his little one-liners, they're such jabs, and he does it deadpan, and it cracks me up every time. Christina says, miss you, ladies. We've missed you too. Glad to be back. All right, let's get into Rob and Sophie. What are your thoughts on Rob and Sophie?
So, I think they're just too young.
Okay.
I mean, the problems that they're having, my opinion on them changes so much. I know that I'm probably being really inconsistent from 1 to 2 to now, but the problems that they're having are just silly.
Okay. I find them interesting. I'm not sure what they want in a relationship, right? Because I think that they both want to be the princess. They both want to be the prize. And I'm not sure what that dynamic is. What I do think is interesting is that they unite when they're talking about other people or talking about the other couples. Then they can easily put their issues aside and unite. And I just think that that's such a weird thing. And so one of the things I thought was interesting, so this episode is all about the bar. They went to the club. It didn't turn out well for a lot of them. Sophie finds out, because they're all fighting. So Sophie finds out that Natalie's been talking behind her back, talking about her body and body shaming her and telling everyone that Sophie's flirting with their men, which absolutely is not true. So she tells Rob, and Rob is like kind of there for her. April, he's kind of like, yo, no one should talk about my woman like that. But
yes,
stopped short of when she literally attacks her.
Right.
And she didn't physically put hands on her, but she could have hurt her. That was glass.
She could have. So
right?
I was thinking, now, how would you feel? I was thinking on the one hand, he might feel like I don't need to get involved in women. Like, I don't want to have an issue with me putting my hands on a woman or it getting to that point. Or should he have done something? Maybe that's a convo for later.
Oh, no, I'll tell you right now, he should have done something.
Okay.
He should have stood up for his woman.
At the very least, he could have gotten between them.
That is not okay. Mm-hmm. And then Josh, come get your woman.
Yeah.
So that this doesn't escalate. But he should have done something, in my opinion. Live chat, let us know if you're watching the replay. Let us know if that happened to you at a confrontation with a woman. You are also a woman. Does your partner get involved? Do you expect that partner to stand up for you? Ty's Way, hey girl, hey.
I think he especially should have got involved after he didn't intervene when Natalie was saying nasty things to Sophia in the van when they were on the way back from the rock
Yep.
hike.
Agreed.
She made her feelings known, like, you should have intervened and said something for me because she's doing these things to try and side with you, to get you on her side away from me, as if you guys have your own private personal relationship that has nothing to do with me, to get to me. So he needed to do something in that moment to say, this is the person that I'm with. Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing you're going to do in front of me or with me
Yeah.
that's going to make our relationship worse or make Sophie feel bad. But like I said, it's silly. It's silly because she's already said to him twice now, you shouldn't let Natalie do things like that in front of you and you not say anything, but he doesn't do anything. That's silly.
Yeah. Agreed. 100% agreed. So I want to talk a little bit before I move on to Jasmine and Gino. Gino's hair patch and the flip that they did at the breakfast, where Benny flips Gino and he flips Julia. First of all, thought it was interesting that Ari's like so not impressed, thought that he was ignoring her, that he needed validation, wanted to be the center of attention, and all she's like doing is complaining. But I feel like she's in her feelings a little bit. And we'll get into that when we get into those two. But what did you think of that whole flip thing, and would you have done it?
I'm clumsy. I literally fell downstairs yesterday, so I would not do that kind of thing. But it was really bad. Like, today was worse than yesterday because I'm old and the pain's always worse on the second day when you're old.
Oh, Lord.
So I wouldn't have done it, but it didn't come off to me as him trying to be the center of attention because he didn't say, hey, come let me flip you, right? Like, Julia went over there and said, oh, I want to try something. And then Gino went, oh, I want to try something. I didn't feel like he's trying to be the center of attention. I feel like he just has a magnetic personality. And so people want to be around him or spend time with him. And she doesn't particularly care for that.
And I also think language is still a barrier. And so he can show more than he can say. So
Correct.
he's trying to show like, hey, this is what I do. I do a backflip. And then they wanted to come and get involved. Now, Gino, guys, like, I'm just really, since we met Gino, I'm just really confused. I'm really, really confused because, listen, you guys, he probably wouldn't be half bad. He'd probably be like a 4 or a 5 without his hat on, right? Like, he's a solid average guy. But when he did the flip and his hat fell off and he still has that little back je ne sais quoi black mark at the back of his head that's like, is there dirt back there? Is that a scar? Like, what? No, it's like he's holding on to this weird little patch at the back of his head. And it's the weirdest thing to me. And I'm trying to understand, you guys. Please, someone explain it to me. April, your wisdom, please.
Oh, I can't explain it. I've seen a lot of men who just can't stand losing all of their hair. They'll hang on to whatever little bit they have. I had a professor in college who wore like a beanie and he had dreads hanging out the back. So we always assumed that he had like long dreads and the beanie came off one day. It was just dreads in the back. The rest of his head was bald. It was the weirdest thing. We were not supposed to see that. The rest of the semester was so awkward because we all knew that he was doing something to puff up the front of the beanie and make it look as if he had dreads. But men have a really hard time with letting that last bit of hair go.
Yeah, and Gino, it's just not a good look. It just looks so weird. Let's say shout out to Arzu. Welcome.
Hey,
If you're really new to our channel, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Becca says, I'm surprised Gino didn't have a hangover from that. I would have dislocated something. That's
that
hilarious.
flip, yeah.
Okay, so we talked about that, and then I wanted to get into Gino and Jasmine, since we're on Gino as it is. So there's so many issues here, you guys. I just don't even know where to begin. I think Gino calling her friend, air quotes, Matt from the gym that she met, who is able to calm her down. Why is he able to calm you down? That is not your man. That is not your man. Even if he's just your friend, why are you calling the dude that you met at the gym and you guys all have met someone at the gym? That's not like, hey, let's just be friends. That's like, hey, I'm trying to get with you. I don't care what anyone says. I'm trying to get with you. So you're calling Matt instead of having a conversation with your husband, and you know that you and your husband have communication issues. It's very odd to me that you have a third party in there that you're telling your relationship issues to, and it's not your girlfriend. It's someone that I know for a fact is interested in you and is going to hang on and hang on and hang on until you're ready to make that move.
Right. Same. I think the same. I don't have benevolent feelings towards men that you meet in the gym.
That part. Brown frown. Hey, girl. Hey. Oh, that's her other man. LOL. Facts.
So, and she might even be lying to herself about that.
Well, you know what? As women, I think that we know. Do you know what I mean? I think that we have, unless it's like super low key, we have an idea when a guy's interested. You know, guys are pretty like basic.
They are, but she might be lying to herself. Like, this is just my friend. This is just my friend. This is just my friend. When, you know, some part of her probably knows this guy does not have a genuine interest in being my friend. Most men, unfortunately, don't. I do have some men friends, but most men are not really interested in being your friend. They don't do well fostering friendships with other men, and they certainly don't do it with women.
And you know what? I want to add on that, and you know, you guys may not agree with me because you guys rarely do, but I do think that because she's having so many issues, specifically attention and sexual issues with her husband, that she's looking for that in someone else. And if someone's paying her that type of feminine attention that she's looking for, I think that that's what she's also getting from Matt. So there's that, in my opinion. Yeah. So Jasmine and Gino don't sleep in the same bed. Jasmine thinks that Gino is a porn addict, and he continues to talk about how he can't be intimate with someone when he's fighting with them. And at this point, you guys, I'm honestly concerned about Gino. I do think that he has some sexual dysfunction. And I know we talked about it in a previous show. In April, you mentioned, you know, his little blue pills and all of that, but I think it goes deeper than that. Like, I do think that he has some serious sexual dysfunction. How are you married for 9 months and have not been intimate with your spouse for 8 of those months?
I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me. Especially they have no competing interest. He's not employed right now. They don't have any kids living with them. They don't have any competing interests that would keep them from being able to spend time with each other to become intimate.
And isn't this the honeymoon phase? Like, hello. I mean, I'm not married, but I know that first year is all like, whoop-de-doo, we're married. And you know what I mean? Like, what? So you guys are roommates then? That's what you're saying? You're roommates? Joslo thinks that Jasmine's the reason why he's having sexual dysfunction. And I mean, what are your thoughts on that, April?
They never had a peaceful relationship. Mm-hmm. The only thing that changed is that they're together all the time now. So maybe it's possible he always had this dysfunction, but it was easier to disguise because they weren't together every day. You know, they only visited. He would only go to Panama every so often.
Becca says, I think Gino liked controlling Jasmine financially, and now he's controlling her through sex.
That's possible.
That's possible. It ties in with his financial control, IRS, a power trip. I mean, you guys, I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong with that. I do think, though, that it probably could be deeper than that. Is control part of it? Absolutely, in my opinion. But I do think that, listen, you guys, I've heard all the rumors. I'm not saying they're true, but there's something seriously going on with him besides that. And I think that Gino, I'm trying to think of a way not to sound crazy. The way what I want to say, you know how
Wait,
sometimes
just say it, and I
no,
promise I'll say
sometimes I go
something
off.
crazier.
Sometimes I go off, and it's not necessarily politically correct, and none of y'all agree with me. But I'm just gonna say it. I think that Gino possibly has not fully embraced who he is as a man, and whatever that looks like for him. And I think that uh, because he is a little bit older, maybe he stifled some of those sexual feelings and they're confusing for him. And so he hasn't worked through that. And we're in 2025 where, love what you love and explore what you want to explore as long as you're being, safe. But I don't think that he has the capacity nor the tools to do that. And so and I'm moving on to next episode because I watched all of them, but I'm trying to go episode by episode with you guys. But even exploring sexuality, which we're going to do in episode 4, and Jasmine talking about like an open relationship or all of that, he was so flabbergasted because he thought like, what does that mean? Well, she's trying to say that sexually you're not satisfying her. She still loves you as a person and still wants to be with you, but she wants to explore making sure that that part of her is fulfilled as well. Now, is that a traditional, 1965, this is what a relationship is? Absolutely not. But the fact that he couldn't even take a minute to take it in without being offended tells me all I need to know about him.
Yeah. No, I think that's a real possibility. I also think that when Jasmine mentions his corn addiction, that might also be a huge factor as well. I have been seeing a lot of anecdotal stories about more and more men having corn addictions and being unable to then be intimate with their partner,
Yep.
regardless of the gender of that partner,
Yep.
because of the corn addictions and how bad it's getting.
Yeah, and the unrealistic expectations of your partner. And yeah, I've seen some of those studies, and it's actually quite crazy to me. What else do I want to say about Jasmine and Gino? Is there anything you want to add about what is Boofy? Oh, that's not Jasmine and Gino. That's Stacy. You guys, I don't know what Boofy means. If one of you guys know, can you tell me in the chat? Because when they got into the van, when they went to the club, and she's like, is my Boofy showing? I was like, what is that? Do you know what that is, April?
I don't know. That might be something her and Stacy made up. I mean, her and Darcy made up. Don't they have their own little twin language?
Yep, I want to know what it is. So if someone has a guess, let us know. All right, let's move on to Josh and Natalie. Whatever you guys think about Natalie, okay, because she is crazy. Like literally, she's crazy, but she is amazing TV. This lady cracks me up. She is like, she knows when to bring it. She knows when to bring the drama. She knows when to bring the stress. She knows when to bring the tears. She's like so out there it's like wild to me. Okay, so Josh and Natalie. Natalie clearly thinks she's in love with Josh. She's all over him. She gives him a lot of attention, and he kind of just plays it off like he's not really that interested. And so it was interesting because they go to the bar, and he takes that time to tell her, like, hey, I have some family obligations. As you guys know, his son was in a terrible car accident. One of his friends passed in that accident, and the son lost his leg. So Josh is going to take a few days to go back and deal with family obligations. Now, there's so many stuff that I want to say, right? Like, okay, first, you knew when the show was airing, you knew when it was filming, you really wanted to be on the show. I'm not saying that you're not taking care of your family obligations, but if it was so important to you, maybe you just don't do the show. Maybe you just stay at home and deal with your family obligations, and saying that your ex-wife has been there for all the physio and all the appointments and all the things. Well, you could have been too, but you chose, what? Because what? Okay. So I just want to throw that out there. So you going home for 2-3 days or whatever the filming was that you took, or the time off of filming you took away. I'm not actually really that impressed because guess what? You came back and you came back to the drama that you created. Because the other thing that I don't like about you, Josh, is the fact that you're a gaslighter and a love bomber. And you know exactly, and I said it last week, you know exactly what Natalie wants. You know that she's high strung. You know that she's crazy. You know that she wants a husband and a children and a family and all of those things. And you want to play like, oh, well, if we make it through the next 3 weeks, then I'll let you come see my house. You know, the sex is good. So that's what well, you know what? That's gaslighting. You already know that you don't want to be with her. So you're either with her so that you can be on the show because she is a franchise star and you want to be part of the franchise. Therefore, you're a clout chaser, or you're a little bit, and excuse my language, well, I won't even say it because it's YouTube, but you're a D with a capital D because you're using her to be on the show and you're using her for her fame, and that's not okay either. Okay, TED Talk over. She can't understand why Josh and Natalie are friends, and I want to talk about that as well. Do you think that, and that's for all of you, you as in everyone watching the replay, do you think that men and women can be just friends?
I do. I know that you were asking the audience.
No, you and everyone else.
I do. I think it takes a lot more work on the part of the man than it does on the part of the woman. And the reason I'm dividing that way is because as women, we are taught how to be friends with each other. We're taught how to support each other. We're taught how to listen to each other. There are a lot of communication skills that we are required to have socially that make us able to be friends with each other. And men are not required to develop those things. Generally, when the issue comes up in their friend group, one person just has to get over it. There's not going to be a conversation about it, or working through it, or coming to terms. If you see your friend doing something that is detrimental to their future, you as a woman, as a friend, you can, point that out gently when, whatever your relationship style has been, however you normally talk to each other. But when men they see each other going down the wrong path, they're just going to watch and probably laugh at you. They don't have the same friendship skills that we have. That's number one. Number two is most of them don't tend to see women as people. Most men see women as either workers or sex objects. And so if you're not able to see a woman as a person, as a whole person, then it's difficult for you to be friends, correct? Like coming from the church background, the majority of men that I was around as a young person are either seeing me as a potential future partner or a laborer. Rarely are we having high-level conversations about politics or religion. It's just what's the best kind of food you can make. You know what I mean?
I agree with you. Yeah.
I do think men and women can be friends, but it takes a very evolved man, and it takes a lot of work on their part of deprogramming patriarchy before they can be a good friend to you as a woman.
I agree with you. I think that, in simpler terms, just to go off of what you're saying, I think that men and women can be friends if one of them is not attracted to the other, whether it's the man or the female. If one's not attracted, they're going to be able to keep the friendship on track.
Yeah. And then like Josh specifically saying, oh, me and Sophie are just friends. Did I move too far? Are we in this episode?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're at the bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, him specifically saying we're just friends. Okay, well, if you're just friends, how come you didn't even speak to her when you guys arrived? You had no communication with her when you arrived because you were caught off guard by the fact that she was there and you remembered what you did. Yep. So you know it wasn't friendly. Now, the thing about Natalie that I don't quite understand, and all women who find yourselves in this situation, is here Josh has given us in one episode a very good example of why we need to watch what people do instead of what they say. he can't possibly be being in this good moment a good father or a good partner to his ex-wife. He's not being a good father or a good co-parent, because how do you have that traumatic circumstance occur and decide it's okay for you to leave to go film a TV show? This is not a situation where, oh, okay, she's got it, I can be gone for a couple of days. This child needs daily care. This child is probably going through being fitted with prosthetics, learning how to walk again, so many things. And this person has other children as well. So you're leaving them to tend to the injured child and the other children and the household and their own work if they're working outside the home as well. And do you really want to partner with that person in the future? Because all Natalie wants is family, right? Do you want to partner with that person who would do you that same way in the future? So like when her question becomes, why not take me to Vegas? It's very weird for me, because you don't want more for yourself. You're looking at the actions. This is what kind of partner he thinks is reasonable to be. This is what kind of father he thinks is reasonable to be. And you still want to pursue this.
Yeah, but it's also too, like, Natalie's her own worst enemy, right? So Natalie needs to be validated by a man. She thinks that she's only whole if she's married. And as we know, she's already had 3 failed marriages and she's the common denominator. And so even her talking about, like, I waited for you for 3 years and you haven't. Listen, Natalie, this fool has not even invited you to his house. And I am convinced that he is still, and then that's some news and gossip for when news and gossip starts again, you guys. But, he's been outed to have another full-on relationship. And I wouldn't be surprised if he lives with that said relationship, and thus he cannot have you over at his house.
Correct.
You haven't been to his house in 3 years. Shame on you.
Yeah, shame on her for allowing that. But more shame on him, because as much as I don't like Natalie right now, I'm not going to hold her responsible the same way that I'm holding him responsible.
No, I 50-50. Josh,
you 50-50?
Yeah, Josh knows exactly what he's doing, but she's allowing it. You waited 3 years. You waited. Why did you wait? She literally said guys come up to her all the time, but she's like, no, I'm in a relationship. Well, you're saying no, I'm in a relationship because you think Josh is attractive and it's the ideal of what you think you want in a relationship. And so therefore you're putting all the red flags to the side and now you're complaining about it. Josh has been douchey to you since day one. Like, I'm sorry, there's no way I'm waiting around for 3 years and I've never been to your house, but then I'm going to go ahead and tell everyone that you're my boyfriend. Stop it. That's
really, really
that
bizarre.
Sounds ridiculous.
It does. It does sound ridiculous. It does. But I don't know. Like, I'm a girl's girl who wants to always give girls a little bit more grace, especially if I know that they're a girl who's been inducted into a lot of religious rhetoric. Like, she believes that moving on to a new partner is like increasing the number of ticks, the number of people that she's had sex with is somehow lowering her quality or her I don't know.
April, she's already been married 3 times and divorced.
I know, like, but she does have that kind of belief structure that she needs to make this work with somebody that she's already had sex with, or else she's being not a good person or she's sinned or something. You know what I mean?
I don't know if I believe that, because she wouldn't be 3 marriages deep, in my opinion. I think that she would continue to try to work it out and say, oh, because of my religious beliefs, XYZ. No, she has to take responsibility, April. And why am I
even feeling like I need to defend her?
I'm not sure, because I feel like she needs to take responsibility for herself as well. Because, Josh is not the only guy. If we go take it back to Mike as well, she made some very specific decisions and wanted to get married. And she wanted to get married because she wanted to come to the US and be a journalist and be a TV star and all the things. So she made those sacrifices for herself. And those are her choices. And now again, she's seeing a guy that she thinks is attractive in her eyes. And she's making those choices. No one's forcing you. You don't even live in the same state as this fool. And you're waiting around for 3 years. You're in Los Angeles. You can go on dates every single day. She's not a not attractive girl. She's a beautiful girl. So she can go. She's crazy, but some people like that. Becca says, I can't remember where I saw it, but someone was theorizing that Josh still lives with his ex-wife. So maybe she was taking care of the son and had to leave. That's not a theory. It's true. Josh still does live with his ex-wife, and their son does live at that house. And I know that you guys are missing some news and gossip, and I'm rolling that back into the whole thing of things. And so we'll catch you up on all the things. I do also want to talk about how something else that I'm not impressed about with Natalie is the way that she's not a girl's girl and she attacks the female. Your man is the problem. Natalie,
your man is the problem.
Read my lips. Your man is the problem. Your man is the one that reached out to Sophie. Your man is the one that invited her to Vegas. Your man is the one that is talking to her low key, even though Rob and him are supposedly, 90-day bad boys together. You know how shady that is for a bro to go after another bro's girl?
It's because they don't know how to have friends.
It's shady as F. Shady. Josh, shady. Rob for not standing up to his shadiness, lame. Okay? I said it. I don't have ill will towards Rob, but I think, hey, listen, your dude is not doing the right thing here. You need to cut it out, and you need to cut it out immediately. Not cool. Yeah. And he knew exactly what he was doing. Oh, it's a group of us. It's a group of us. When I was in university, I tutored for the football team. And one of the football guys was like, hey, can we do a group study for one of the projects? I was like, sure, I'll meet you at the library. Go to the library, and this group study is just me and him. And I make jokes because we're still friends to this day. But I make jokes. I'm like, where's the group? He's like, oh, you and I make the group. I tell you guys all that because guys know exactly what they're doing. They know the words that they're using. And Josh knew that, hey, I'm going to say a group of us is coming. So it's like, there's no threat. She's going to feel at ease. We have friends in common. So she'll come. And then whatever happens stays in Vegas. Stop it.
Yeah. Well, where was the invite to Rob if it was just a friendly little thing? I'm not even giving any credence to his whole, it was just a friendly. We know it wasn't a friendly little thing.
We did not.
She read the messages and she knows it wasn't a friendly thing. But instead of saying, okay, I'm out, I'm moving on, it's, why didn't you invite me to Vegas? By the way, I wanted to say something earlier and I completely forgot. Remember how we were talking about Florian? He's Albanian, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, listen, guys. Albania has a program where if you're a U.S. citizen, you can go and stay there for up to 1 year. And then if you want to stay longer, all you have to do is just go away 3 months, reset, and you can come back and stay for another year. You know where you can go for those 3 months? Schengen area, anywhere in there for 3 months. They don't require you to come back to the U.S. You can just go hang out somewhere else, come back. So if any of you are looking for a Florian,
Oh, so you're specifically only talking about your fellow American friends? Is that what
I don't know if the Canadian visa will allow you to do that. The Canadian passport will allow you to do that. I'm so sorry. This is an announcement for the bald eagle. Caca! Red, white, blue motherfuckers.
Jocelyn, yes.
If you do find your Florian in Albania, come see me. I can bring him back to the U.S. Sorry.
Doesn't he tour with Rob? Yes, they do their 90-day bad boy thing, right? But this is also past the filming of 90 Day The Last Resort. So the 90-day bad boys came into existence just before the season aired, but you guys also have to remember they had already filmed, right? So filming takes place a long time before it actually airs. I also want to talk about Natalie and say that, again, the fact that she body shames other girls, calls them names, calls them hookers, calls them whores, when she was so outraged and offended when she thought Mike's mom called her a hooker, is beyond me. It's beyond me. You're clearly not a girl's girl. Josh even says part of the issue that they have together is that whenever there's another pretty girl, she gets jealous, and that's when she becomes enraged. And we're going to learn more about the history of that and why she feels that way in the next episode. But again, heal yourself. Your friggin' trauma, and you just regurgitated onto other females who are trying to befriend you, is not okay. People heal from your trauma. Please. Therapy is out there. If you don't want to go to therapy, you can journal, you can talk to your best friends. But what you're not about to do is have verbal diarrhea on other females because you're insecure about yourself. I hate it. We're all grown now. You know what I mean? This is not high school where you don't know yourself and you don't know how to communicate. Can we cut that out?
Yeah.
Cut that out? Because I just think it's awful. Who's Matilda?
You're talking about Niles and Matilda from Before the 90 Days.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I would love to help Niles. Niles, if you're out there and you need some assistance, give me a ring. You're missing out. Natalie's missing out on a lot. Anyone who is closing yourself off to women friendships, especially if you're around my age, you're missing out on so much because they're the ones that really sustain you. Like when I look over my life and think about the things that I've been able to do and accomplish, it's been my women friends who were there all along the way, pushing me. I'm trying new restaurants. I'm going new places. There's rarely any of my relationships that I've had with men that have improved my life. Maybe they weren't torturous, but did they improve my life? Did I have a new experience? Did I have a new thought? Not really. Those are my women friends.
I do want to touch upon this, and I don't because of your expertise. 1,000 Pieces. We're doing 90 Day the Last Resort, but I do want to talk about Matilda and Niles, but we're gonna cover that when we cover The Other Way, because I want to stick to the show so that I don't get them. That's why I was like, who's Matilda? What? Oh, we're on a different 90-day show. But April is an amazing immigration attorney, you guys. Definitely follow her on all her socials. And, if you're a cast member, or even if you're not a cast member and you're looking to get your spouse to the Americas, April's the way to go.
I got a hilarious thing to tell you. So somebody called me and asked if their Canadian fiance petitioned for them, could they stay in the US? And I was like, wait a minute, hold on. I think I misunderstood you. Are you currently here in the United States, the lower 48? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, so your fiance is Canadian? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, so how would that help you stay in the United States? This person truly did not know that it's not one like country with one set of laws. True.
So
they weren't pulling my leg at all.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I remember rewinding that kitchen hooker versus cooker scene over and over to listen to what his mom said. That's funny.
I think if his mom called her a hooker, she would have said I called her a hooker. She did not give me the vibe of someone who would say something, then turn tail and tuck her tail about it.
Agreed. Florian and Stacy. I don't know. I don't have a lot to say about them. They didn't really have some issues. They got dressed up. She went to the gym. She's like, old Stacy's coming back. She loves to burn. But one of my favorite lines of the episode where Stacy was telling Florian, behave yourself. You like to party. You're out every night in Miami. And he's like, I'm not staying out late with these people who are always complaining. Died of laughter. Because you know what? He really is not impressed by any of them. I think he thinks they're all crybabies. I think that he thinks that they all have problems that he just doesn't have to deal with. And so, like, if you watch his face, you guys, when he's interacting with them, there's never a smile. He's looking at them, judging them. We listen and we do judge.
We do judge. Florian does judge. Yeah, I thought Stacy was just trying to be nice to everybody and have a good night out. I love her attitude here.
Me too. And she was embracing. She wasn't taking anyone's side. She was embracing everyone. She was definitely pro-female, pro-friend, girlfriend, and I really respect her for that.
Yeah. I think she's an example here I don't know if always she is, but here I think she's an example of girls, and Jasmine too.
Oh my God, you guys. When Jasmine. Okay, my favorite part. Am I going to talk about this later? Let me just make sure I'm looking in. Okay, yeah. Let's talk about it now because you brought it up. But when Natalie freaks out, right, because of the Vegas thing with Josh, and then she runs outside and she's crying. It's all really, really dramatic. And then Josh comes out eventually to talk to her, and she's like, "Invite me to Vegas! Invite me to Vegas right now!" And he's like, "No, never." Right? So that whole thing happens. He walks away from her, and she's like, she goes back in, causes a scene, tips over Sophie's drink, right? Which is like super disrespectful. Then I'm leaving, and then goes outside, and then Jasmine follows out. Listen, you all, this is again why this was one of my favorite episodes. Jasmine comes out and looks her in her face and says, "You're crazy." And not only does she do that, she grabs her by the face, you guys. You know how intense that is? And grabs her ear to make sure she's listening and says, "This is not my fault that you're with a dude that doesn't give an F about you. You disrespect women. You think you're better than everyone. You think you're better than all the women out here. I deserve an apology. I want an apology right now." And then she says, "You want to meet crazy?" Crazy. Oh, I died. I said, this is why I watch all things 90 Day. She grabbed this girl's face, and Natalie didn't know what to do with herself. All she could do was smile. You know, when you grab a crazy person's face so that they can really focus on your words, you guys should try it. It's very intense for them.
Natalie was like, Jasmine's like, "I'm shutting out all the voices so you can just hear just me."
Just my voice.
In this episode, we see Jasmine go from like tender and caring to like Kill Bill.
She did all the things. That ear grabbing, you guys, was just the best to me. The best. Okay, Brandon and Julia. I think that they're, in church words. Oh, hi, Jessica. We love that you're here. Jessica, I just finished talking smack about Natalie, but welcome. Okay, so Brandon and Julia. And again, I was going to say in church words, these two are not equally yoked. And who knew Brandon was such an old biddy? But then I think about how he was always like such a mama's boy and grew up on a farm and really was babied and expected Julia to pack his luggage and all the things. Then I'm really not that surprised. And Julia, go-go dancer, Euro is really kind of worldly, and he's not used to it. They're not equally yoked. And so for him, and you guys, I need you to pay attention to this type, okay? Yes, you want to settle down with a good, solid provider type if that's what you're looking for. However, make sure that your values are the exact same values as the partner you choose. And I keep telling you guys to have the conversation about money, about babies, about sex, about religion, all of those things, because if you don't, you end up here where he literally is trying to force a female to have a baby. And he thinks that, quote, starting a family is what needed to be done. Now, hey, you want to have a kid and have a family, that's great. And all the power to you. But make sure that your partner wants the exact same thing. And you can't fault them for not wanting the same thing. However, Julia is in the wrong because she originally said that those are the things that she wanted. Now, I need to preface all of what I'm saying with, when you say you want a kid and you're 20, you may feel different at 30. That's why it's important to know yourself. That's why it's important to think, hey, I may not be dating the same kind of dude I did at 20 than I'm going to do at 30 or even at 40. You change, you experience life. And so that is what I think their problem is, that she's realizing that that's not really important to her right now in this moment of her life. However, Brandon, in my opinion, April, is being really, really selfish, only looking out at what he wants. And what he wants is a family. And for him to say to her, call her like disgusting names because he didn't like what she was wearing. Okay. Come closer. Closer. Come closer. MF, you met me, I was wearing this outfit. You dated me, I was wearing a similar outfit. Don't you friggin' dare call your wife a whore for the outfit she wears. Now, I'm going to tell you something else. I don't give a rat's behind what these fools are telling you, okay? In this world that we're living in right now, you are still in charge of your own body.
Yes.
No man can tell you what to do with your body, what to put on your body, what to put in your body. No man has the right to dictate that. So Brandon, you can F off as far as I'm concerned. And for the fact that you disrespected your wife like that tells me all I need to know about you and your immature and insecure self. Thank you very much.
You know what I'm really proud of since the time I started using my personal TikTok, not my work TikTok, I am getting fed a lot of videos from women who are deliberately childless. And I am so respectful of this movement and their honesty with themselves about what they have the capacity to do and how they want to spend their life and spend their time. And they're deliberately choosing to be childless because they recognize, in my opinion, the people who are deliberately choosing to be childless have a little bit more recognition of how much work it requires to be a parent than those who just do it because that's what you're supposed to do when you turn a certain age, or that's what you're supposed to do when you have a kid. Because I doubt that Brandon has thought to himself, what do I need to do on a daily basis to take care of a child if we have one? You know, I doubt he's made that kind of consideration, especially like Becca said, when he can't even bother to pack his own suitcase. But these women who are like, yeah, I've decided to be, this is how I spent my weekend as a childless woman in New York. This is how I spent my weekend as a childless, you know, wherever they are. I am so in awe of them being able to step out and make that decision despite what church tells us and patriarchy tells us, despite everything. They're like, no, I'm choosing me.
And not just that, I also think that there are some people that should never have been parents because
Absolutely.
some people, you bring on lifelong trauma to that individual. And some people, I mean, that's why there's foster care and all of this stuff, is some people, they should just never have procreated. So let's not say that, you know, having a baby is going to fix your relationship, because it's not. And having a baby is not going to fix you as an individual. And if you don't put in the work for yourself, then, you know, you are bound to extend the poor behavior or the lack of knowledge onto that next generation, because you don't know any better. And just because you don't know any better, that's not okay. Because you know what? You could know better. You just chose not to do the work.
Exactly. You could choose to know better. I don't know if she's going to watch this. I'm not going to say her name. So if she sees it, she can't be upset. I'm not saying her name. But a friend of mine recently said that she didn't know how hard it was going to be to have a newborn. And I wanted to clock her over the head. I'm like, you have not. I'm like, so either one of two things happen. You either didn't listen to me when I told you how difficult it was to have a child, or you just thought you were better than me.
Facts. You know what I can't stand? I can't stand when people are like, oh, the dad is babysitting the kids. You're not babysitting. That's your child. You're taking care of your child. You're taking care of your child. I saw something on the socials this week that I was like, oh, see, it's meant to be funny. But again, I should have been a therapist. I think that I should have been a therapist. There's actually deeper issues going on here. So the girl opens the door and says, I asked my husband to watch our son for 10 minutes. The husband's on the bed, the kid's underneath a laundry basket that has holes, and the dad has his foot on top of the basket so that the kid couldn't go anywhere, and the dad is sleeping. You asked your husband to watch your okay. Let me just stop right there.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Dear
really
future husband, if we have kids together, we're both taking care of the kid. I'm not asking you to watch anything. We are both watching the child. And if you have something to do, then guess what? I'll step up. But if I have something to do, then step up. But what's not about to happen is me asking you as if you're doing me a favor. It took two of us to tango. It's going to take two of us plus the village to raise this kid or children or whatever. Stop it. Stop. You guys stop buying into the hype. Okay. Women, we're nurturers, we're carers, we do all the things and we take on all the responsibilities, but it's hold your partner accountable. Okay, because that's what it's supposed to be, a partnership.
Yes, Ray Della. I enjoy
Hey, Ray Della. Hey, girl. Hey.
Even though I have one kid, I think that being an auntie is my favorite thing to be. It's my 100%. Favorite thing. I tell all the kids, all my nieces and nephews, I'll never say no to anything that you want. Just tell April what you want. I'll never say no like your mom will. This is my favorite thing when the kids like fall down, bump their head, and they're crying, and they come to Aunt April. Don't go to your mom. Come to Aunt.
Yep, 100%, 100%. So one of the things I was surprised about, like I said, was Brandon and how prudish he is for such a young age, because he is in his 30s. But the other thing that I was surprised about was Rob. Rob, you are, first of all, Rob, aren't you in your late 20s? Shouldn't you just be a fun type of individual, figuring life out and having fun? Because when you were shaming Julia for dancing on the bar, knowing that she used to be a go dancer and she was just trying to hype up you guys' lame energy, I was surprised that you were embarrassed and talking crazy to Sophie. And you thought I was surprised. Were you, April?
I was not as surprised as you were, because, you know, I've met men like this who hold these beliefs about women, but you only see them come out sometimes. They masquerade as if they're more evolved than they really are.
Oh, and okay. That's fair. You know what? I'm going to have to sit on that, because here's what was confusing to me, April, is that you have a beautiful wife who came out in a super sexy dress, but then the girl in the short jeans and backless shirt, you want to talk crazy about? Like, I'm confused.
Well, also, Sophie was not dancing on the bar. So I think if you were to ask him directly, he'd probably make that kind of distinction.
And my thing is, can you make that distinction? Because is it all in the same ridiculous judgy judge? So you can wear a sexy outfit, but you can't dance sexy on the bar?
Not if we were at Coyote Ugly, then I think it would be like, oh, everybody's having fun. But this did not give the appearance to me of that kind of bar, of that kind of atmosphere where everybody's just having fun. It gave the appearance to me a little bit more like maybe it's ridiculous for her to be on the bar, because that's not the music we hear. We don't really see a bunch of people dancing. We don't see a bunch of people drinking. It looks like just a stand around bar. No? Mm. But I wouldn't have said, I wouldn't have called her names like they did. And I wouldn't have said, oh, I understand why you're mad. I just think that if you asked him that question, that would be the distinction that he would probably make.
Let me know what you guys think in the live chat, replay, live, whatever. What do you guys think? Is it appropriate for your spouse to jump on the bar and start dancing with the caveat that they used to be a go-go dancer. I'm very curious what you guys think. Okay. Last and certainly not least, and I will preface this by saying I really do like Ari. I thought I really liked Benny, but Benny is really, in my opinion, showing some very selfish tendencies. But then, as you guys know, I go back and forth with these two because I just don't know where I just don't. They're so problematic. They're so problematic. There's, colonization happening here. There is a translation language barrier here. There is a communication issue here. There's so many issues. And I guess what I want to first say before I get super into it is that you guys have to take care of your mental health, and whatever that looks like for you, make sure that you do that, especially in the world that we're living in now and the constant being plugged in 24/7 and having things flash in your face that perhaps could be toxic and harmful to where you are in your life. Don't let any of that steal your joy. And that being said, I was really worried in this episode because we do know Ari has a history of, and I don't want to even just say, yeah, it was mental health issues. She's had a history of that, and where she's actually harmed herself physically. And so I felt like there should have been like a warning, some type of something. You know how they put it on the screen at the end of the episode? I really feel that should have been dealt with, because those of us that have been following 90 Days from day one, we know this about Ari, and for her to go silent in a bathroom and me looking at her and looking at her arms every day that I see her on the TV, I just thought that it was not safe. And then when a producer had to actually come out and knock on the door, I was like, you guys need to talk about this for the people that are watching that may be triggered. But that was not done. And I just want to let you guys know that if you were triggered, there are resources out there for you, and you're never alone. And I'm sorry that was not dealt with differently. That being said, Benny has been ignoring Ari this episode and previous episodes. In my opinion, he's done with her. Done. And, he's moved on to another relationship, which there is proof of. So he's been giving her the silent treatment. So when they go to the bar, she is verbally saying how her husband doesn't want to spend time with her, doesn't want to talk to her, doesn't want to say hello to her, doesn't want to sit with her. And she works herself up into a spiraling, anxious, upset person and decides that she's going to remove herself from the situation. But she's going to not just remove herself. She's going to make, in my opinion, a bit of a spectacle. She's going to go to the bathroom, lock herself in the bathroom, not tell anyone where she is, and then be gone for over an hour. Benny is asked where Ari is. He doesn't know. Jasmine is like, are we going to go look for her? He seemed not concerned. He's like, come with me, because had you not asked, I would not have gone to look. Which is not funny, but that just shows me how checked out he is. They go look for her. They find her in the bathroom. He's like trying to break open the door. Jasmine is speaking to her in English and in Spanish, trying to see, like, are you okay? She's still not answering, to the point where the producers had to come and check in on her. And that's when we finally got like a little bit of an idea that she was okay, that she just needed space. And that's what they gave her. And then instead, which I thought was a little bit of a manipulative move on her part, and all these people are worried about you, you sneak outside so they don't know where you are still. Josh randomly finds you and you're like, yeah, I snuck outside. I was just anxious. Well, tell the people that clearly care about you that you're fine and you're outside and you need a timeout. Communicate. Again, we're adults here. Communicate. However, Ari decides that she doesn't want to party. She doesn't want to socialize. She's only there because she wants to work on her marriage. And so she goes up to Benny and says, I'm going to give you your password. as long as you, and that's when she lost me, because you're not giving it because you want to give it. You're giving it as a condition, which is part of the reason I have a problem saying that there's like a control issue, colonizer behavior. Ari, sorry, not sorry. Love ya. But the power dynamics, the privilege, I need you to get that in check real quick. You're not his savior. Okay. He's grown. Give him his passwords. Whatever he's going to do, he's going to do. And maybe that's the best for your relationship. But you're like, I'll give you your passwords, but you have to respect me. You have to engage with me. You have to say hello to me. You have to be with me. You have to work on the relationship. All these conditions. And y'all, that's not how relationships work. You can't just put a condition out there and expect the person to live up to your conditions if they don't want to. What you can do is communicate your wants and your needs. And if that person is amenable, then you both move forward. But if they're not amenable and they're not doing it because they want to, you guys are going to be doomed because they're going to forget to do it. Then you're going to be offended. And that's when you're going to have problems.
It's such a huge, it makes me feel really, really gross that she continually tries to force physical affection on him. Physical affection is always something that should be given voluntarily. Should never, you can tell someone what your preferences are physically, but you like conditioning anything on, okay, that's weird. Conditioning anything on physical affection is, it's really gross. And we're both struggling with this. Me personally, because I like Ari.
Yeah.
Otherwise. And so it's really, I'm struggling here to understand her behavior. I feel like there's a part of her that's got to know that this is wrong.
And that's why, again, I've said for the last 3 episodes that I'm struggling. I'm struggling with these two because I too like Ari. I think I like Benny. But I mean, I guess they're human, but a lot of these choices that they're making, they're questionable. They're really questionable. And I feel like we need to do what's best for them. And sometimes you guys being in a relationship that is not beneficial to you guys, perhaps you move on. I don't know.
So my YouTube page, because I just do mostly immigrations, a few travel things on there, I've been inundated with really negative commentary from people about immigrants. So just ignore that comment, anybody who can see it. And if you have any free time on your hands and you want to go leave a nice comment, I would really appreciate it because my comment section is trash right now.
April is a professional, and I too am a professional, but in a different way. So I'm going to say this as a Canadian, respectfully. I need you guys to get your shit together in America. I need you guys to understand that immigrants are not a threat to you. A threat to you is the uneducated, untraveled, small-minded, racist behavior that the small few are emboldened right now. So take a minute, you guys, to think about what you're saying online, because online is forever. Okay. Do a little research, because I've done my research and I know how many Americans are educated and how many there are not. Okay. Past a grade 10 level. And I need you guys to take a beat. That's all I'm saying. Take a beat. Okay. Be kind. It is easier to be kind than it is to run amok and do all these things. But here we are. So I don't care what your political beliefs are, but what we're not about to do is talk crazy about immigrants, because I am an immigrant. My parents were immigrants. So I will defend immigrants to the end of day. You're not going to talk crazy about immigrants, and you're not going to bully people online. And I'm going to give you an example, okay? there is a specific person, I'm not going to, there's a situation where this person got pardoned by a specific person, and then that person is now no longer. Be emboldened, and then your karma is out there, you guys. You can't be a trash individual and bully people and think that nothing's going to happen to you, because you're going to bully the wrong one. And I'm just saying that those are facts. So can we just be kind? That's it. Be kind. I don't have to agree with you, but be kind. And if you don't want to be kind, keep it pushing. All right. And that was the watered down version. I'm really, you guys, 2025, I'm really trying to be better. Okay. It started with the Korean skincare regime so that I can be glowing. And I'm trying to make my words match. But don't take me out of character, because I will go there. All right. Yes, I'm defending my friend April, because that's not nice what you guys are doing. She is protecting and supporting. She is frontlining as an immigration attorney, and you never know when you're going to need not just an attorney, but an immigration attorney. So stop playing. All right. On that note, I do want to talk about this. Okay. I want to talk about when Natalie had her breakdown. Okay. And she decides that she's going to start screaming, "Who's single? Who's single? My boyfriend is going to Vegas." All of that stuff. How would you handle something like that, April? If you're the person you were dating or your partner, and you were out in public and you found something out that was shocking to you, what would you do? How would you react?
I don't know, because it's never happened to me. But I did realize while I was in public once that I did not want to date this person that I was with anymore. Like during the date, it was my birthday. We were out for my birthday with my friends, my kid, his kid. And on the date, I realized I did not want to be with him anymore. And that was really, really awkward to navigate. We were at the Kennedy Center for a show. So I left the show and just went in the bathroom and was like, what am I going to do? How am I going to get out of this? So I asked my girlfriend to take my kid home with her, back to the hotel rather, because that's before I lived in DC, and just escaped.
I mean, I would just leave. I've done it. April, listen, y'all. I grew up with brothers, and I just know how these boys act. And I don't know. Maybe I'm a little ruthless. Some of my cousin always tells me, like, Linda, like, you got to just be like, chill a little bit. I'm like, no, why waste time? Why waste time? Let's just But not everyone likes that, like, directness. But I'll tell you this, I would leave. I've wrapped up plenty a date when I was just like, one dude, I think I told you guys this, because there are certain stories that just stand out so crazy. But one dude I went on a date with, he was drunk by the time I got there, and he spilled his martini on me, and we had to wrap it up. And I've told that story in depth, like, as a, like, funny memory. And people are always like, but maybe he was just, like, nervous and, had a few. That's what? Pardon me? No, thank you.
No. I think that we should all leave more often, to be honest. I think we should deal with less in those first few dates and avoid having a 2 or 3 year long relationship that's not going well if you had just left more often in the beginning. So even though it may not have been like the most mature thing to do, I was proud of myself for just being like, I'm getting out of here.
Yep. I love it. Guys, thank you so much. We'll be back next week with episode 4. For those of you guys who are on TikTok, April's a TikTok star. We're going to head over there for a quick 10 minutes. So join us there. And, I'm trying to be better at TikTok while it's still here. So please do follow. Can you believe that I may not even know what my TikTok handle is? Is that ridiculous or what? Is that ridiculous?
It's not ridiculous. Sometimes, I mean, like when you have a bunch of social media, sometimes you don't remember all of the handles.
Oh,
But I think Linda, 90 Day.
Yeah, Linda 90 Day, the Melanated Way. Right? That's my handle.
Yes.
Follow me there too, you guys. I'm trying to be better at TikTok. But for now, we'll see you next week if you're not a TikToker. And if you are a TikToker, head over to April's channel, follow her, and we'll see you again. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, live chat.